Hi, my name is Tamara Licht. I work at Private Therapy Clinic. I'm a clinical psychologist who specializes with working with parents and children and families. We get a lot of parents who come to the clinic nowadays wondering how much social media is acceptable, how much time of screen is acceptable. My child spends a lot of time playing video games. Is there something wrong? Overall, there's nothing wrong in having a balanced view when it comes to social media. It's a reality, and if we try also to stop our children from engaging with social media and video games, what we incur the risk of actually doing is stopping their social engaging in a social aspect of their life. We understand that socialization nowadays for young people involves interacting through social media, or even nowadays actually playing a video game. It's them on one side playing with a friend who is on the other side of the video game, and that's the way that they interact. What we have to be mindful about is my child using social media, or is my child using video games as a way of distracting themselves after a long day, as a way of cooling down, as a way of relaxing, as a way of reconnecting with their peers? Or is my child using this as a way of avoiding something that's creating a lot of emotional distress? Nowadays, there is a very thin line between distraction and avoidance. And as parents, getting to know our children and getting to know when they reach out to something, what is their intention? What is their purpose? Is he reaching out to a video game because he's really eager and keen to play with a friend? Or is he reaching out to a video game because he had a very long day at school, he's worried about all the homework that he has to do, and then we don't really understand if at the end of the day the child is worried or if his intention was to play with friends. If we're noticing that our child at the end of the day tends to be more irritable or more anxious, or they're not really sleeping well, chances are your child is probably using video games or social media as a way of avoiding a situation that is making them feel a little bit uncomfortable. So now that we know that our child is using social media or video games as a way of avoiding something that's creating emotional distress, we might wonder, how do I approach them? What's the best case scenario? Do I remove all social media from their hands? Do I keep their phone? Do I stop any contact from reaching out to other friends? What do I do to really try to understand what's troubling them? Simple strategies like approaching them at a moment where you see that they are actually accessible to you, and by no means try to interrupt a video game because you can get into a huge discussion with your child, but maybe try to approach them at a time where you feel that they are able to connect with you, and try to understand, I see that you've been playing, or I see that you've been using your phone for X amount of time. What do you get out of this? What do you feel when you interact by using this? How do you think this fits into your day-to-day routine? What are the short, medium, and long-term consequences of using the video game or of using social media? What we want to try to do is to help them come up with an answer, to help them to try to realize that what they're doing might not necessarily be the best way to deal with the conflict that they're having at this point in time. So for children, initially, using a video game or using social media to avoid facing something that makes them feel anxious, for example, or distress, seems like a really good idea. And chances are, on the short term, it's an excellent idea. Let me sit down and play, let me disconnect from what's happening, and that's it. But what we do know is that long term, avoiding situations that are making your child feel uncomfortable has the risk of setting them off for anxiety or for low mood. So what we want to try to do is to help them come up with creative ideas, help them try to see that what they think it's a really good idea in the short term might not necessarily be a good idea on the long term, in order to work out what they need to work out at an emotional level. Now that we understand a little bit more about the difference between avoidance and distraction, it might be a good opportunity to reflect. When do we see our children doing this? Do we know if they're actually doing it to avoid something or to just ease down after a whole hectic day of school, for example? I hope that with this information, we are gaining more insight into understanding what our children are doing or how are they trying to cope with situations that might seem quite distressful for themselves. Don't hesitate to reach out to Private Therapy Clinic for a free 15-minute consultation if you want to further discuss this.